Well, here we are, home sweet home. Shelter's looking as good as ever, and the crawl-in's kind of looking a bit decrepit, with all the leaves seem to have compacted quite considerably, and there seems to be a lot of twigs in there, so it's going to be fun pulling all that off. I had hoped to try and reuse some of that, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen now. It was a bit of a challenge walking in. My legs are killing me. I went snowboarding yesterday and I haven't done that for like over 2 years, so I'm paying for it now. But I'm kind of late getting up here as well because I was faffing around too much this morning. So I've not got a lot of daylight left. I've got a feeling all I'm going to actually achieve today is just a bit of a tidy up and set up a emergency tarp and get some firewood gathered. So, but the plan is tomorrow to get stuck into this thing, make a few wee improvements. The main problem I had when I slept in it, when I built it, was that there was just too much airspace around, so it's one of the first things I need to do. The second problem was the fact that it was just a little bit too small. I couldn't actually move around at all in there. Because I swap around from my stomach to my side when I'm sleeping, it's not very comfortable. I kind of got a bit stiff in the process. Not to mention I almost freezing to death because it was -1. But that's the plan anyway. It's as I said, it's ridiculously warm for January in Scotland. On the way up we had like 12 degrees according to the car, so it's kind of mad. But hey ho, at least I won't freeze to death. Right, so I better get cracking, get this place tidied up, get some firewood gathered, get a fire going, get a cup of tea. Hi guys, I don't know if you can even see me. I'm kind of hoping the GoPro is going to pick up the little bit of daylight that's left. As I said, I've not actually done a lot. I've just basically done a big tidy up, set up an emergency tarp, which I kind of think I'm going to actually sleep under the tarp because the raised bed underneath the shelter I've noticed is kind of a bit decrepit looking, so it needs a bit of attention before I can sleep on it. But quite nice to sleep under the shelter maybe tomorrow night. So yeah, I've not even got a fire going yet, so that's how behind I am. It's 4:30 and daylight is almost gone, I'm afraid. So I'm just going to get a fire going and have some tea, I think. A cup of tea and maybe just prep some more firewood and stuff before I crash out. And then tomorrow morning I'll get stuck into this crawling shelter, get it fixed up. So I'll just catch you in the morning. Well, I had a really good sleep. The temperature actually did drop down to about 6 or something during the night, so I wasn't actually too warm in my down sleeping bag. So I've kind of slept in a wee bit, so a bit late getting going. Had my breakfast and I've had a wash and that, so I'm all set and ready to go and start actually doing some work on the shelter. The first thing I've got to do kind of pretty much is rip it all apart at the front anyway. I'm going to try and preserve some of the existing covering if I can, but I've got a feeling I might just end up chucking it. So the main thing I need to do to start with is find some other new supports for the front to make it a bit higher, because these ones are going to be too small now. So that's the first task. I'm going to head out now and see what I can find. So I've managed to find a couple of really nice big long bits. They're too long at the moment, I need to shorten them a bit, but I'm just trying to get them as straight as possible. Find out just what's the easiest bit to sharpen. So next stage is to destroy my handiwork, pretty much. Right. Oh. Right, so I've moved all the slats up that were there originally, and of course I've got a gap now because I haven't got slats that long. So I've just been and collected some nice bits of alder, which I'm now going to process to make the rest of the slats. Wall pieces I should call them really, and then fill in the gaps. So I've decided before I actually fill in these extra the gap bits, I really should try and check the height. So this is the old support. I've stuck that log in there just to raise it up a few inches. I'm not sure if I've actually raised it enough, to be honest, but obviously the acid test really is to get in there and have a look. I'll try and see just how much extra room I have got. So that's the idea. Before I put these sidewalls on, I'm going to just try and clamber in there in geriatric fashion as usual. So this is the start of the raised bed here, and obviously the bit, that's the cold air. Well, I'll explain to you in a minute to see how the cold air trap works. But so, the idea is going backwards. Until, yeah, let's just start the slats there. So that's kind of a pillow area, really, there. And well, the acid test really is alright lying on my front, but if I want to go on my side, have I got enough room for my shoulders to move? And the answer is yes. The man from Del Monte, he says, give me your money. Yeah, that's actually perfect. I've got just enough room to manoeuvre around, but not too much. Does that look? Not bad. Maybe higher than I wanted it, to be honest. That's strong. Cool. Right, so I wasn't happy with that. It was going to be too high. What I did was I pulled this one out on the left. I pulled that one out and I actually shortened it a bit, which meant it was hitting something in the ground. That's why it wasn't going any further. So it's actually the perfect height now. The other thing I've done as well is I've actually carved a bit of a notch in this one to make this sort of mesh together slightly better. And the result of all that is that the ridge pole's sitting exactly where we wanted it, on top of the same level as where that log was putting it. So we're good. I'm happy with that now. Wasn't quite what I wanted, so it's ideal now. But the light's disappearing, so I'm not going to get much more done. Try and get some of these sections for the wall. May have to go and get some more alder. and then think about having some dinner. Anyway, day 3. I'm really struggling this morning. I feel absolutely wasted, so I've just had my breakfast. I'm hoping I'll start to feel normal again shortly, and then I can get started with the next stage on the crawling shelter. Had a decent sleep, so I don't know why I'm feeling so knackered. It's nice and cool again, 5s and 6s during the night, so it's good. Blinking owls keep waking me up here. The same happened last night, the night before. I mean, there's an owl comes and it must be in one of these trees right above me, and it makes such a noise, it wakes me up. Anyway, so just going to finish my cup of tea, have my lovely Tunnock's caramel wafer, and then get started. So the other main issue I had with the shelter as it was before was there was like too much volume around the sort of entrance, and that's the other thing I want to try and deal with. Ideally you want to be able to crawl in and then nothing more, you know, just enough room to do that, no more, because otherwise you've got all this air volume that you're trying to heat up before you can actually keep warm. So I'm going to try and deal with that in the way I sort of half dealt with it before, but not that greatly. So I want to try and sort of have a loft area in here, put some cross members across and just build that up, fill that with leaves, and also take care of the bits at the side in a similar way, just so that there's only just enough room for me to just clamber in there, no more. So that's, I decided to do that before I finish up the walls because it'd be much easier to actually work with. So that's the next task. So I'm just going to put some cross members across to start with, and then try and work out how to do the rest of it. Right, so the first thing I need to do really to work out is to work out how low I can have the entrance. So I've just placed this cross beam across here now. It's just loosely tied, I've not tied it. I want to be able to just adjust it to the right height. I've got it quite tight there. I actually don't think I'll get under there very easily, but unfortunately there's only one way to find out, so I'll give it a wee try. I just need to see if I can get my hips through there, and then that kind of means I can get the rest of me through it. So, let's see what happens. It's actually not bad. It might be alright, that height. I haven't touched it yet. No, I'm touching it now though. Yeah. Flat R. Thank you. Isn't bad. I actually think that's alright. That's okay. It's perfect actually. Cool. Alright, so I just need to lash that in place, and then put another one across the front here at the same height. And the other thing I've done is I've put this stake here, and I'm going to put a wee wall across like that, I think, and that'll sort of take care of the bits at the side, and then I can sort of build up a loft, put some across the way, build a sort of loftier end here, fill that with leaves, fill the sides in with leaves, block off the front as much as I possibly can as well, and then of course where the cold air trap is, which I'll explain in a minute, I need to have the front, the very front, as low as possible where I can just get in through this trench that I've dug, and no more. And that's the secret to keeping the warm air inside. Anyway, so lash that solid and put another one across here, and then put some ones in the... That's the next task, so we'll get cracking with that. Let you see what I've done. Right, so the next stage is to actually put the cross member across the front here. But I should really give a fuller explanation of the whole cold air trap thing. So these crawling shelters, there's a guy called Mike Douglas in Maine. His channel is Maine Primitive Skills School, I think, and he's kind of pretty much the pioneer for these kind of shelters. He's even slept in one for like 3 years or something, he claims, so it's pretty impressive. So the idea, of course, is that it's just so small, it's just big enough for you to get in and no more, and you therefore, once you've got the insulation with the leaves on top, you just heat up the air inside there and it keeps you bone dry and nice and warm in any temperature whatsoever. But it only works if the cold air from outside can't get in and exchange it with the hot air. And of course hot air rises, so the key is to have the front of the entrance actually lower level than the level where you're sleeping. So the cold air is trapped here, it doesn't actually get in, if that makes sense. So that I put the rake there is just to give an indication of the level of the actual raised bed that's in there, and you can see that it doesn't give you a lot of room to actually get in if you actually hold to those principles. So the idea of this trench here that I dug last year was to actually give you a way to get in and still keep the entrance really low. But as you can see, it's not really lower than the bed at this stage, so, and I don't think I can quite, I might be able to just almost get in there like that, but then really the entrance needs to actually be lower than that anyway to work properly, I think. So I think what I'm going to do is actually dig my trench down even deeper, which might take a wee while with the wee trowel, but I'm going to do that first, and then I'm going to set this front one to be a bit lower than that, hopefully. A couple of inches at least, I'd like. And then the idea, I had a bit of a brainwave there actually, because all I'm going to do is put a floor area in here over these two, and then that gives me enough room to get in there, in theory. And then if I put wall along the outside there, on both sides, and that means that whole entrance is enclosed, and I don't even need to put wall sections in. I just cover the whole thing in leaves, and that should work. So that's the idea anyway. So I'm going to get cracking, dig this trench out a bit more, make it a bit deeper so that I can get this a bit lower. Right, so you can call this super pedantic if you like, but I just found this whole thing. I didn't trust the rake being the right level, so I found this fence post, rotten as it is, it's still straight. And I don't know if you can see my GoPro case there, using the camera out of it, but I've got a level glued to the back of it, which means that when I do any handheld stuff, it's quite handy to keep it sort of level when I'm filming. But as you can see, the actual level of the bed is miles away. It's like way up there. So where that bar is at the moment, it's like well below the height of the bed in reality. So a scientific approach makes me much happier that that's an okay level. So I'm going to try and get under that in a sec. I'll put the camera back on the tripod and give it a shot. I knew that fence post to come handy one day. Of course, you shouldn't burn fence posts and gate posts and things on an open fire, because they're treated at all. They've got poisonous gases coming out of them, which can be quite nasty. Right, so up a couple of inches, can I get under it? And a man from Belmonte. Well, that's too tight. It's still too low. I know. That's still too low. Can't believe that. Anyway, So let's take it up. That's straight. Yeah, that's okay. I'm not going to put that. Ow, bastard. That's doable. Sweet. Oh, that kills you. I'm actually realising I've dug that trench too deep now. That's why it's so blinking hard. But that's a good level. That's where we'll go. I'm pretty sure that's still lower than the raised bed anyway. That's good. So I'll lash that in, put some wall sections in and switch back on, let you see what I'm doing. Well guys, it's been non-stop action, so that's why I've not had the camera on, but running out of light now, so I better show you what I've done so far. Basically I've finished off this loft. I put an extra piece down the bottom here just to rest all those bits on, and then I built a wall there, and you can see these pegs round the outside to build a sort of wall. I've not quite finished that bit yet, same on the other side. So the idea is that when this is all full of leaves, I'll finish off the front as well, it'll mean that there'll be really just a very small, just enough really room in there to actually get in and out without any superfluous bits at the side that are just going to soak up heat or be, you know, need to be heated up to keep me warm. So it's looking good. Kind of a bit behind the curve still, but so I'm just going to keep working. I'm going to finish off the walls on the side, get all this finished off, and then tomorrow it'll be a case of just go crazy raking up leaves and getting them on top so that I can give it a try out tomorrow night. So that's the idea anyway. It's almost 4 o'clock, so I've still got another, oh, maybe an hour of usable light, really, just. So I'll keep busy. Hopefully I'll have it all, well, I should get it all ready to have leaves thrown at it tomorrow. So I'll say good night and catch up with you in the morning. So day 4, and the last chance I have to actually get this finished off and actually sleep in it tonight, because I have to head home tomorrow. So I've just spent the morning finishing off what I had hoped to do last night, which is this whole sort of front wall area and the sort of partition between the loft and the actual main sleeping area. So you can see it's all enclosed at the front, completely nicely finished off on both sides. So really the only area around the front entrance is what you need to actually get in. So I'll give you a quick look under there. I don't know what that'll turn out like. So yeah, I'm quite happy. I just need to spend the rest of the day covering it all in leaves. Beautiful fresh leaves. Yeah, well, it's taking shape, but as you can probably tell, we're running out of daylight fast. So I thought there seems to be more leaves this year than there was last year. I don't know if that's just my imagination, but so I've still got all that area down the side there to clear out. But as you can see, it's coming along nicely. It's just amazing how long it takes to actually rake leaves. You wouldn't have thought it was such a time consuming task. But yeah, decent bit of insulation there at the moment. I think it'll be quite cosy in there tonight. Lovely. I know you're all jealous. Anyway, I'll switch off for now, and I'll maybe do a quick switch on in the dark as I'm getting into it later on. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep raking like a maniac. Probably too close to the camera, I don't know, I'm trying to say. But this is the view from inside. And as you may have noticed, I came up with a fantastic brainwave, and I created a drawbridge door. So those bottom panels where those pegs are, that's actually closing off the front of it even more than it was. I just pulled it up back behind me. Don't know why I never thought of that before. It's pretty obvious. And there's the loft, the bits outside. So I tried to get in with my big hunting jacket on, and failed miserably. It was just too bulky and I couldn't actually get through the gap. So I had to take it off. It's lying there, so it's quite handy because I normally use that as a pillow. So I'm going to bring that back here in a sec. At the moment I'm absolutely roasting, but probably more because it was such an effort to get in. It's an absolute nightmare. I've made it really tight. So it's always going to be a bit of a limbo dance, a backwards limbo dance to actually get in here. But maybe I'll get used to it. I don't know. I mean, I can always make another adjustment. With that drawbridge door, I could always actually put the front panel even higher and just count on the drawbridge door to actually seal it off and create a cold air trap. Anyway, so it's actually quite late. There's a spider. It's 1 o'clock actually, and it's 2 degrees outside according to my thermometer, which is somewhere. Where's my thermometer? Oh, yeah, it's down here somewhere. Here it is. Oh, what's the lighter? There's absolutely no danger you're going to be able to see this. Oh. Well, yeah, it's saying about 4 or something at the moment, but I don't know if that's just because I'm so warm and I've gone past it so closely. Who knows? Anyway, we'll see how it goes during the night. I'll try and have another look at that. I've got a magnifying glass thing on my compass here. That's why it's... Oh, if I can get hold of it. Come here. Yeah. It's pretty rubbish, but it helps me to see. It's absolute clarity. Anyway, so I'm going to try and go to sleep. See what happens. If I wake up, I'll check the thermometer. If I wake up for a reason, I'll be evacuating, because I ain't doing another freezing cold night like I did the last time. If I get too warm, goodness knows what I'm going to do. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, so it's good night from him, and it's good night from me. Good night. Well folks, the bad news is I didn't actually manage to stay under in my shelter all night. When I first went in, it was 2 degrees outside,
and then I was warm enough for ages, and then I fell asleep and I woke up and I checked the temperature inside, and it was 10 degrees. So it was quite, you know, the difference of 8 degrees, but 10 degrees in your clothes isn't really that great. Plus, because I couldn't get in with my big coat on, I was just in my Bushcraft shirt, so it wasn't too great. So I had the bright idea of I'll try and put my jacket on, because I had it in there with me. I was using it as a pillow, so I figured I'll try and put it on inside the actual shelter, which would have been impossible in the old shelter, but I just had enough room to just do it. So I got a jacket on and I thought, right, okay, that's not so bad, I feel okay, and I was fairly warm. But then I just kept waking up, and then I checked the temperature in the entrance, and it dropped to 0, but it was still like 8 degrees inside, but it's still just wasn't warm enough. I just kept waking up freezing cold, and I said, you know what, stuff it. And then I needed to go to the bathroom, as you would say in America, and I just said, stuff it, and get out. And then I just climbed into the tarp, so climbed into the sleeping bag and the tarp, which is pure luxury compared to that. Although my feet are still cold, which is a bit weird. Yeah, and I've completely slept in, because it's like I don't know what time it is. It's like way after 10 o'clock anyway, and it seems to be foggy, which isn't very great, but never mind. So I'll get up and get some breakfast going, and then I'll give you a guided tour of how the shelter looks now that it's been completed. Well, it's kind of foggy. It's also very cold. It's 0 degrees at the moment still, and it's like 1 o'clock. That's how long I've slept. Anyway, so this is what the shelter looks like now, after I raked up all those leaves yesterday and fired them on the top. There's definitely quite a lot of leaves on there, but not enough to keep me warm, it seems. I have a theory actually that it's just because they're wet that they probably don't have the same insulation value. The heat from my body's just, you know, basically going to warm up all the moisture in the actual leaves. Don't know, could be talking nonsense there, but it'd be interesting to try it again once everything's dried out. I'm going to show you this drawbridge door that I made. It's pretty simple, but basically the idea is you just drag it in behind you, and then it slots in there like that. I did have these perfectly sized, but then I put more leaves down, so that's why it's not really closing now. But it's good enough. So obviously you're dropping your actual cold air trap right down to here, which is way better. It's actually questionable whether I even could have actually just relied on that to bring the entrance down. What I mean is, instead of having this bottom one fixed, I could have just had a door like this to bring in behind me. But I don't know, I can get in, so it's good enough. I think it would be ideal in warmer climate. Certainly in double figure centigrade, it would be toasty as anything in there. So I'll give it another try maybe when it's a bit warmer and the leaves have dried out a bit as well. It's going to make a big difference. So basically just going to get tidied up and head off now. It's the end of my adventure, unfortunately. Don't like the look of this mist though. Anyway, until the next time, see you later.